railway which closed at the beginning of 1958 was the former London and North Western Railway and later LMS and Western Region route which served the South Wales coalfields. This was known as the Heads of the Valleys line, as it ran along the north side of the range of mountains which contained the coal, on which the prosperity of the region had been built. It ran from Abergavenny, where we see the train being prepared. In Victorian days, the height of private enterprise and business competition, the Northwestern had provided the competition to the various private South Wales railways and the Great Western, which dominated the coastal end of the valleys. This competition resulted in some valleys and coal mines being serviced by 3 or more different railway companies, and of course, competitive pricing at a time when coal was the principal fuel for British industry. Nationalisation of the railways in 1948 eliminated the competitive element, and the new organisation set about the nationalisation of its system, closing duplicate routes throughout the country. This went hand in hand with the scrapping of many historic locomotive types, and Pat Whitehouse and John Adams were only just in time to record many of these for posterity. The final train on the Heads of the Valleys line was hauled by the last remaining example of Francis Webb's London and North Western Railway coal tank class, and one of his Super D 080 heavy freight engines. The train had been organised by the Stevenson Locomotive Society's Midlands Area branch, which was very active in the 1950s and 60s, ensuring that many branch lines and cross-country lines, such as this, were visited by special trains. It was a time when railways were still the main form of transport for many, but also when enthusiasm for railways was growing, evidenced by the popularity of the railway roundabout programs themselves. The train commemorated not only the closure of the main line, but a number of branches as well. The engines ran down the short branch to Ebbw Vale and returned by pushing the train back to the junction at Beaufort. The coal pits were to remain served by the Western region. In the 1950s, the Western region's principal expresses were the Cornish Riviera Express, serving the West Country, and the Bristolian, serving the Great Western Railway's raison d'etre, Bristol. In 1958, the railway roundabout cameras went to Bristol's Bath Road locomotive depot to see the train being prepared. 10 years after nationalisation, Great Western traditions were still paramount, with train reporting numbers on the smokebox door, the coats of arms of the cities served, London and Bristol, on the headboard, and Castle Class 460s powering the train. The driver's name on the cab side was an innovation in 1958, but was only in use for a short time during that year. This film serves to show just how much preparation was needed for a Top-Link Express locomotive in the days of steam. It was the driver's responsibility to ensure that all oil reservoirs were filled, known as oiling round. This also involved going under the locomotive to deal with inside valve gear and cylinders. As befits a prestige train, the engine was one of the latest of its type, a Castle class built after the war. It sported a flat-sided tender of the Hawksworth pattern, which was filled with water before moving off to collect its train. This engine, number 7018 Bristolian Castle, was one of the first two to be fitted with a double chimney and exhaust and allocated to the Bristolian. Preparation of the train also involved the guard. At the carriage sidings, we see the guard bring the tail lamp to the back of the train. His next job is to record the carriage numbers and to do the weights, noting the weight of each coach and the makeup of the train. Meanwhile, the yard carriage examiner ensures that the accumulators are full brakes are working, and so on. Inside the train, the restaurant car staff prepares tables for afternoon tea as the train ran after lunch. The guard affixes seat reservations to the seat backs, and most stock being of the compartment type. With the engine coupled on, the guard gives the driver the weights. For example, 10 for 350 means 10 coaches weighing 350 tons. The train ran into Bristol Temple Meads station from the southwestern end. The coaches were mostly the most recent British Railways standard type, but painted in the Great Western livery of chocolate and cream, used from 1957 on the Western region named expresses only. Headlamps over each buffer indicate an express passenger train. An 82A on the small oval plate on the smoke box, a Bristol Bath Road locomotive. The fire is built up to the firebox door in true Great Western fashion, and the train is ready for a prompt departure. A special camera mounting was used for shots of the locomotive at work from the cab. This was clamped to the cab side sheets. Inside the train, afternoon tea is served. The dining car was an original Great Western vehicle in this train, and uniformed attendants still gave silver service. The train ran via Filton on the Badmington route through Swindon and Reading to London. It was the only train booked to run at 100 miles an hour in the 1950s, and as such, quite a celebrity. Inside the train, a first-class passenger could relax, whilst the guard, a man at the top of his profession and still sporting the full Great Western gold-braided uniform, checks tickets. In this instance, a young family with second-class tickets, third class was upgraded to second in the late 1950s, were found in a first-class compartment. At speed, there was considerable vibration on the footplate. Filming for this feature took place over 5 days. On the Friday, line-side shots were taken and resulted in this view of a king on the Bristolian. The Great Western's heaviest express engines were used on Fridays when the train weight was increased for the weekend. Inside, the guard makes up his log. All trains were recorded in this way, information on running being compiled from this data together with signalmen's logs in the age before computers.